I'm like 3 for 4 this year on the right timing on the intro music. I should probably completely steal this and then just like cut a clip.
This
Maybe
is
I'll do that.
true.
Maybe I'll do that. That seems legal. We're week 2, 1 week officially in the bag, with Tuesdays with Drake. This is Wednesday, and there is no co-host, our normal co-host, Nat Levy. Some congratulations in order. Welcome their second child to the family, him and his lovely family and wife. So we have Michael here today to help us through the show. Not our first pick, but he'll make do. Michael, how do you feel?
Purple, yep. First up, yes, echoing, I'll get to your remark in a second, Christopher. Echoing your opening statement, though. Congratulations, Nathaniel. Very happy for you, and may your child grow up to have the same level of professional success in their career as Jalen Suggs will.
I love it. I love the tie-in.
Yeah.
I like the beanie. Fully repping. We'll get into your lovely team dreams and your Bomba-isms in a bit. We'll also talk some Bulls. Your only undefeated East Coast team, best record since '96 to start the season, Chicago Bulls.
Nope.
Thank you.
Excellent. Christopher, whenever I come back to guest host, can Bomba-isms be like a segment that I have? I like the sound of that. I think I can work with that.
I will make a note that Bomba-isms will be an ongoing segment that we will leave you in the future. So can definitely do that.
Okay, great.
Before we get there, we'll do some recap. Weird week 1, and then we got a special segment. We're gonna talk about maybe what would happen if we redrafted this league as a keeper league. Who would change in value? So I think that'd be a good segment. But we'll start as we usually do, back to our normal regular programming with some recap. I got thoroughly walloped because my team decided to basically not show up, and most of my long-term, I think, value picks like Capella, who's on minutes restrictions, and Michael Porter Jr. got monstered, so I lost pretty badly, which I'm okay with. I'll give some games away. How'd you do? I don't remember where you stood out this week.
The gentleman's tie. Yeah,
gentleman's tie. Were you happy with your tie? Were you disappointed with your performance this week?
I mean, I want to win every week. Can you scroll down to my team again real quick? Thank you. Yeah, I think I had some turnover issues. Chris Middleton was not helping. And I think my field goal percentage was not where I was hoping it would be. 420 is
that is pretty low. It's pretty low.
Pretty shitty. Yeah, offensive rebounds. I feel like my rebounding is okay, so that might have just been like an outlier week, I think.
Well, so also Big Stack is starting 6 centers. So you were up against it with this opponent, although Zion was hurt. So you were even getting a whole position for you. Because you definitely have some. I mean, Mobley was a great start. He's already put numbers in. Embiid got hurt a little bit. Bamba is putting in some real stats this season, to your credit.
Yes.
So you should have a good rebound capabilities here for sure.
I'm not ready to give up on the season yet. Maybe where we are. I feel like the team. I think that my team can compete. I guess we'll see how it goes. I'm excited for this week's opponent. It should be an easy victory against Joe because Joe. But and I am excited for the return of Jonathan Isaac and his blocks and stocks, although not his vaccination perspectives.
COVID takes there. Yeah. You're also suffering. Nat did give me some guidance to mention how poorly Damian Lillard has been playing, who you are also suffering from. So yeah, I think you do have a good team, and you got away with a tie there. I think that's probably with how bad your team played. Not a bad result.
No, it's a long season where I'm fine with it.
And really only 1 steal away. So not bad. The closest one, I always love when the triple double is the tiebreaker. That's why I love this league. So Amy is the first victor via the triple double, although I am annoyed because it is Lonzo Ball who perpetrated the triple double. It should have been. Yeah, he had one. Which Oh, that's LaMelo. Oh, wrong team, wrong ball.
There it is.
There's
Number
Lonzo.
3. Yeah.
Yes. So, as most will know, I'm very frustrated with the lack of Alonzo Ball on my team. Anyway, Amy's team's quite good. She has claimed the first week Roto winner as well with her quality performance on the back of Lonzo Ball.
Can I just point out your conditional highlighting? Excellent.
Thank you. I appreciate appropriate Excel gratitude. So thank you for that. I spent a lot of time on it. It took me many hours the first place, but now only a few hours to set up for the season. But now I'm good. Now it's like I got macros in here. I just paste in the line from Yahoo and it formats it all. I got way too much time on my hands.
The hard work is paying off, Christopher. I appreciate your work, your efforts for the league, and I enjoy paging through a spreadsheet.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Confirming here, though, I do love this part. You were the worst in the week for field goal percentage.
Yeah.
I was the worst in free throw percentage, which is pretty hilarious. My team also just doesn't take any free throws. Who led in rebounds? That was a big point. So where's my sandwich? One of the two folks that ended up starting 6 centers, but his were all healthy. So unsurprisingly dominating in the rebound category. It will be interesting to continue watching this. Those folks didn't win either of them. So last week we were projecting some potential interest here with the full big man starting rosters, and neither team pulled out a W in the first week. So
Christopher, this brings to mind a thought. At the end of the season, we should do a retrospective analysis of which position of the 5 named designated positions actually ended up being the most valuable. Like figure out a way to value like the generic point guard versus the generic shooting guard versus the generic small forward, power forward, center.
I would love your proposal mid-season. Okay. So I'm going to give you the action.
Okay.
And I would like a statistical proposal to evaluate this.
Okay.
I assume it would be something like what is like the standard deviation maximum of the position or something to that effect. But let's not solutionize. We can take that offline.
Okay. I'm just
trying to get as many workisms into this lovely podcast as I can.
I will let some of them go. Solutionisms that was a close one.
Solutionizing, not solutionisms.
Oh, sorry. Both are bad.
Get it right.
Okay.
But yes, I agree. I would very much like that because there are no bigs left on the waivers at all, and I need some. So yes. Last thing we'll check on the recap. First week, only so much we can actually view here. Just who's leading. Curry actually having some big numbers. Those are big games. Well, he is just good at basketball. And then
those rebounding stats are crazy for him. Like at the moment, like
there's a lot of rebounds.
That's for Curry is fucking awesome.
There's a lot of high rebounding guards right now that are like really like LaMelo gets a lot of boards. I was just commenting. Tyler Herro has like 9 rebounds today. Like it's definitely it's definitely a stat to keep in mind to boost those values. Joe will be happy that his pick Cat as always up there. So and Lonzo again putting another big rebounding guard putting up some fat lines. He had 12 steals and blocks the first week of the season.
Very Fultzian. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm not even gonna go there. All right, that's enough. That's enough recap because we clearly need to let you spread your wings here. All right, so for those who don't know, Michael, diehard Orlando Magic fan, really across the board, and so I want to hear from you. We well know it's a rebuilding year.
Yes. So
what are your goals for the Magic this season?
I would like to rebuild. So finally, we have committed to a direction. Instead of kind of hanging on with Vooch and Fournier and Gordon and like aiming for mediocrity every year, we traded them 3 years too late potentially. But finally, we have committed to we don't have a problem was we were trying to maybe make the playoffs, but maybe develop our young guys, but not really because we were never like playing them enough to help them develop. And so it's like, well, okay, like, you can't really have it like both ways, right? Like it's difficult. I mean, maybe you can, but it's difficult. And so we were doing, if you can, we weren't doing it no matter what. And so we weren't going to compete for a title. So might as well finally, break the band up and, start accumulating assets and bottom out, for this year, for last year, I guess. And then for this year as well. So we now have 9 young players I am excited to watch. And I would rather win 20 games and have 9 young players I'm excited about than win 41 games and, not be excited about, the potential future of the league or the future of the team. So let's
hold on. So I'm going to write that down because I'm going to snip that one just for future reference. So
yeah, that's fine.
True, like, but there's got to be a limit, right? Like, how many years of young? When does young become not young, right? Like, when does that transition into they're not young anymore?
Yes. Well, so how long have you known me? And how long have we been watching basketball together? Because it hasn't been great for a while. So you probably have picked up on my patience. I believe I'm a more patient fan than most. But I think that's because I'm trying and maybe failing, but trying to apply some semblance of rationality to the process. Whereas like being 500 every year is not appealing to me. Like, if you're building, 500, 600, 650, whatever, okay, that's great. We weren't doing that. And so right now is like, is essentially, year 1.5, right, of finally committing. And so like it would still early. Like, if Suggs doesn't pan out, that would suck. If the draft pick we get this year doesn't pan out, you're like, okay, would we have to bottom out again? And does that get frustrating? Yes. But the hope is that if you take enough throws of a dartboard that, somebody pans out, and all you need is the one, right? Like it's hardest to get like the one core player. Once you have one, then it becomes a lot easier to get a second, right? And to build and, at least become a contender, if not a championship.
Who are your current core players do you class any of the youngsters today as core, or have you not passed judgment yet?
Yes. I am happy to give out grades of incomplete. all 9 promising young talents on the Magic. I'm not ready to name a favorite child, although I still harbor very, very Fultzian aspirations. But so Jalen
Suggs, non-committal. This is just non-committal.
Okay. Let me commit for you. What would you like me to commit to? I'll commit for you.
Maybe one. You gotta at least say, give me your top prospect for the core. If you can't name the core.
This is like picking my favorite children, but I'll rank the 9. I'll rank the 9 for you.
You're gonna rank the whole 9? Oh, this is better. Way better.
Okay. I'll rank all 9. Oh, fuck. Okay, so speaking honestly, like it's like Jonathan Isaac's vaccination views are not helping my evaluation of his, but putting those aside and just going by basketball, aptitude only, I think Isaac would have to be 1. Like when he is healthy, he has shown like DP, defensive player of the year potential, and at least in fantasy getting blocks and steals and whatnot. And if his offensive game develops, then he becomes somebody who's very interesting. Number 2. Am I allowed ties?
Sure.
Okay.
In your provisional ranking of core players, because you can't pick.
Yeah,
I will allow ties.
Okay, you could force me to break it like later in the year. Right now, because they just give me the benefit of the early season doubt. Tie for number 2 between Markelle Fultz and Jalen Suggs, former number 1 overall draft pick Markelle Fultz, who has gone through some minor injuries and potentially mysterious ailments. But I still hold out hope. And then Suggs, obviously, we finally got a break in the draft and got a young guy who, seems to have potential. And, he's 4 games into his career. Who knows how he pans out? We will see. So, 1 Isaac, 2 Fultz and Suggs. So 4 would be Bamba Muhammad. Very big fan. Always been a big fan. Been discouraged by his lack of drive on the court. His motor has been an issue. Also being injured every offseason and not having, I guess, not having many years playing basketball professionally or, even like at a high level and needing to learn how to play the game. But this year it seems like, obviously very small sample size with that caveat.
Also needs to go to leg day, like a lot more.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Does. So, upper body day, shoulder day, chest day, fantastic. I mean, Look at those guns. Amazing. But there's a reason I chose a picture that shows the upper half of his body. So yes, legs are important, for stability and strength and positioning in the NBA. Would love it if he worked on his back squats and deadlifts. So yes, agreed. If Bamba hits leg day, right, maybe he jumps up, 4 could be low for him. But right now he is 4. 5 is Cole Anthony. He had an up and down. He was an incredibly, talented prospect in high school, had an okay college season and, a reasonably successful, I guess, rookie year. I mean, it was fine. But I think I'm basing this based off of pedigree potentially more than what he's shown. I think like he's still young, and folks who have always been good at basketball, tend to have higher chances of success than folks who haven't always been good at basketball. So high on him. I sent around a stat to everybody, highlighting his 29 points, 16 rebound performance.
Another guard with a lot of rebounds on theme for tonight.
Yeah, he's not a tall guard either.
You get one more. Because that's fine. Just for the sake of the audience. You get one more. Who's the next?
That's fine. The other 3 I'm not as excited about, but Chuma Okeke would be number 6.
Right.
I think he was injured at Auburn and he fell in the draft to us, and we let him redshirt a year. And he seems to be not have many weaknesses in his game. Doesn't need to mean he's great at anything, but I just like the all around aptitude. I think is something that is appealing and could turn into to something more.
So solid rotational player, got it.
Yeah. RJ, Wendell Carter, Franz Wagner, just to round it out, but we don't need to discuss them.
Yeah, Wendell Carter's not gonna be good. As a Bulls watcher,
sure,
he's fine. Like he is destined for mid to back rotational player for a solid career on a lot of teams. Like he's gonna make some money and have a good time and totally
I'm happy
fine.
to have his $12 million a year extension as a trade chip for
yes.
when we're ready to make our move. Yes,
exactly. He is those names that get appended to deals to like make the salary work on the reg.
I don't disagree with you. I'm fine with it. Fine.
So then that's your provisional potential core.
Yep.
How many games you gonna win, and then what is your maximum games you want to win?
Okay.
On top of that.
Okay, as we've discussed, Christopher, this is a complicated emotion, so I'm going to try and explain it. All right, so I will never root for my team to lose, not ever. I will not ever root for them to lose. However, I am aware of the consequences if they do, which is, in essence, having a higher shot at a higher draft pick, a better draft pick. So my I get, as you know, get heavily invested into sports and get excited about things, and so I don't take the wins and losses of the Magic as emotionally, in our rebuilding seasons as I would in our non-rebuilding seasons. Maybe is a way of describing it. You asked how many games I think we're going to win. Well, we're 1-3 at the moment. I haven't watched today's game yet, so I'm not sure what happened. I'm going to watch that after this on DVR, as I do every Magic game. I think 20 to 25 wins is probably where we are. I think we're going to be really bad. I think we're going to be like the second or third worst team in the league. Like I think Cleveland might be a little better than us. Detroit might not. Houston.
Cleveland's playing like shockingly well already. Like they're not going to be like great, but they're like passably playing basketball.
Yeah,
shockingly.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma City will finally, or I haven't looked tonight if they won, or if they're playing tonight, but I assume they will win a game at some point. SGA is pretty good. I think they will win. But I think our competition for the topic in the draft will be Detroit and Oklahoma City, and then I guess potentially Houston. Although Houston might be a little
down
better.
There. Yeah. I agree. OKC's down there. Houston's down there. Detroit should be down there, but could be surprising. Cavs, they seem to be trying to play basketball. Their jumbo lineup is really intriguing to me. Playing Mobley, Allen, and Lowry. All three together is like crazy anti-current league trend. I love it.
Yes, and they do actually have a legitimate starting backcourt, like Sexland. So like,
and with they're deep actually now with Rubio, so they actually have some depth.
Yeah, and Detroit will be dependent upon like how quickly and Cade develops. Right, he has not played yet, so we kind of incomplete for them.
I tell you, I also think the Pels are going to be down there. I've watched a couple of their games. they're not good. Especially without Zion, they are bad.
Right. So yeah, I think it's very like Zion injury dependent, because if he comes back, like, he's good. He's good enough to pull them out of, wherever they are.
Yeah. Unlike my team.
Do you want me to set you up, Christopher?
Please.
So yes, So Christopher, please share your thoughts on your team, the Chicago Bulls. Your thoughts on the season, how it's going so far, your aspirations, how good you think they can be, and just your general kind of take on the season so far and the season to come for your Chicago Bulls.
I have not been interested in basketball this much, like, since moving to Seattle and like joining other people. Like, truly,
Okay.
I grew up in like prime, Jordan era Bulls.
Yeah.
Not realizing how insane it was because, I was 7, and like they've been in the desert since then. And it's not that they're winning. They're a fun team to watch right now. They all play well. Lonzo, DeRozan, and Levine are like coherently playing together in a way I'm surprised about already. Like they are interacting well in a sensible way. Like, this is a well-constructed roster, not even just like they went and got some splashy guys, but like they all complement each other well. And the other thing, I've watched most of their games already. They haven't played great teams yet. Admittedly, tomorrow they play the Knicks. First big test, should be a good game because the Knicks are also passively playing basketball again this season, which is fun. Minus the fact that Tom Thibodeau looks like Danny DeVito playing the Penguin in the Batman movies. He really doesn't look great. Like, I'm really kind of concerned for Tibbs' health.
Yeah, are you worried about like Tibbs not making it at the end of the season?
Like, that's a not unreasonable bet. I mean, he really looks bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, that aside, I also love the second line right now the Bulls have. It's like a high energy, just like rangy, like small lineup. They picked up Caruso, who like is one of those guys that's like very polarizing, but you put him in the right spot and he's like a solid player, and like he's like backcourt guy who's just out there to like cause havoc and get steals and like shoot some shots.
He's still leading the league in steals.
He could be. I mean,
thought he was for a little bit at least.
He could. He gets like a shocking amount of steals, and he's just out there pestering people. And like he's one of those. So I think he's also one of those players too. Like, they don't have a stat for it, but like causes disruption, right? Like, he might not get the steal, but he's like forcing turnovers.
Yeah.
And like, so they got a couple other guys that they're playing, like Javonte Green, who I'd never heard of before. I don't even know where he came from. I think we got him one of the trades. Yep. He's doing the same thing. He's just another wing out there, just like big wingspan, running transition. Kobe White's not even back yet. He's not even playing. So like, we got, if that second line can like do what they're doing throughout the season, and like they can rely on that and keep that first, like, that starting five is a solid starting five. Like, if Patrick Williams develops at all, or just keeps doing like competent defensively and rebounds, like that starting five is like great. I legitimately think we can make a run in the playoffs the way we're playing and the way very few other teams are playing well. Like, the Sixers do not look great. The Nets are terrible looking. Like, that's all going to change over time. But like, not there's nobody like maybe the Bucks are the best looking team of the good teams right now, and they're going to be good. But there's a lot of teams that have problems right now.
Can you define what a run in the playoffs looks like? Is that like Eastern Conference semis? Is that conference finals?
I think if they don't make the semis with this team, that's a disappointment.
Okay.
I think they could make the finals. I'm not going to say that they're going to make the NBA finals. They could make the conference finals. I like, if the Bucks are healthy and like motoring, like the Bucks should win the title again. Like, I'm not going to say that the Bulls are going to beat the Bucks. If they're like down a couple of tires, if they're like running without Middleton, or, I mean, if they don't have Giannis, they're not in the playoffs, but like, or they're not making it to the conference finals. But like, if they're out a couple guys, it could be interesting. So they should, I think they should win 50 games, if not more. And again, I think they should make the conference finals on a good stretch. But if they bomb out in the first round, I would be like terribly disappointed. Like, I'd be pissed.
All right. Let's mark that
they
down.
should be like a 3 or 4 seed. That would be like perfect, reasonable outcome of the season.
Okay. You haven't mentioned your MVP yet either on the team.
Man, Lonzo's playing like an absolute monster right now. I was never a big fan. He was playing well in New Orleans. Nat is a big fan of all the balls now.
Yeah.
But he's just
Ethan
doing
Angelo?
I don't know if they're all the same. Not all the same, but they're all playing pretty well. I mean, like
Okay.
LaMelo's a beast. But like he runs the team like very clearly. Like the Bulls have not had a strong general point guard in a long time. Like Rose was a scorer and a slasher. He wasn't orchestrating the team in the same way. And that was the last good point guard we've really had. This is like Lonzo Ball's running that team. And so like if he plays the way he's playing right now throughout the season, like he'll probably be the team MVP. Like everybody else is like running off of him.
That was a wonderful description of Lonzo Ball, but I was referring to your team MVP, former Orlando Magic superstar Nikola Vucevic.
Oh, no, he won't be. He's gonna play well, but I think that's actually what's good with this lineup is none of these guys have to put up 30 points a game every night. Right? Like they got 4 people who could each do that on a given night.
Lonzo
probably isn't gonna do it. Lonzo probably isn't gonna do it. All right, so 3 guys who could like Levine's probably gonna put up 25 or 30 every night just because he is playing. He's at the peak of his career. DeRozan can, Vooch can, but I think because of that, they can all balance. So like that's what's really cool about them at the moment is like they're pretty well balanced. So if they can stay healthy, I think they'll make a run.
Yeah. All right.
That's what I got.
Seems reasonable. I am very happy with you, Christopher. Happy that you are enjoying basketball.
I got no counter takes. I wasn't prepared for like no counter takes on my flaming hot Bulls bandwagonism.
So, all right, let me explain that. So let me break it down for you. So I want to be supportive.
Good.
I want to be a good co-host, right? I want to give and take, but I want to be okay. Like there are things I could push back on. Legitimately. Okay. I guess dismissing the Nets, I think, is essentially folly. I think conference finals is a stretch. I think the Bucks and the Nets are locked in at the. I mean, no, Kyrie or not. I think that's pretty well locked in. I think conference semis and making a run, taking a 6-game series, I think that's my estimation of your ceiling at the moment.
Yeah, I think I expressed the same. Like I said, like conference finals would be like a dream. Like that would be like that's very successful season, bordering on like surprising.
Yeah, but I from what I've seen of the Bulls, like they seem to be playing well. They do seem well constructed as you kind of laid out. And yes, I mean we will see how the East goes, right, and who survives the injury gauntlet.
That is what I hope. DeRozan's obviously a little older, but I think the majority of the folks on the Bulls are typically non-injury laden. So hopefully that helps us.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right. I'm excited. You're excited for your young stars.
Yes.
And potential future ranked core members that you are unwilling to commit to. So we will check in with you sometime later this season to get a progress report on your youngsters and maybe some Bomba-isms.
Yeah.
So last thing we'll do today. You had a great idea, and I like this. We don't have a keeper league, as you know, as the fans at home know.
Right.
But we were kind of envisioning what if we did have a keeper league, and we started this season. How would it change our drafting behavior? Thinking more for the long term or the long haul for some of these players, but keeping it with our fun league parameters. So we were thinking, what would be the first round? What would the first round of this draft look like as a keeper league? So, Michael, you have first pick in the inaugural keeper draft of our league.
Okay, I'd like to put some parameters on it.
Go ahead with your parameters.
Right. So we're assuming that you can keep the same player indefinitely forever, right?
Yes.
And we have to decide, I guess, like the key questions that we have to kind of work through, right? Is like, it is just make it, you taking two example players, right? Is the 5 years of James Harden, is that better than the next 12 years of LaMelo Ball,
yes,
for example? Which do you value more? Like, do you value like that the really high peak that Harden can give you, or do you value, like the 12 years of potential, I guess high ranking that you'll get from LaMelo, and not having to worry about, exchanging your player for somebody else. I don't have a good answer for it. I guess the way that I'm thinking about it is I'm definitely kind of favoring the younger guys. Like for example, like, Curry, like the next 3 years of Curry could be, number one in the league every year, right? But I don't know if I like would rather have 3 years of Curry or, the next 12 or 13 or 14 years of Luka, for example, or the next 10 years of Giannis. I think I'd much rather have, that for Luka and Giannis, and then worry about filling in kind of like, I guess other players elsewhere. So given that framing, like my decision, my choice comes down to either Luka or Giannis. Those are my top two. Luka's a few years younger. Giannis is Giannis and seemingly only getting better, and Luka obviously has most of his career yet to come. Simply because I love watching Luka play, I will take Luka Doncic first overall.
Interesting. Okay, I like it. I'm surprised you didn't go Jokic, because I feel like Jokic is the first pick, is still fairly young.
Yeah.
I'd say he's equivalent to like Giannis, right? He's about the same age. They're about the same age. Came in the same year.
Yeah, I think Jokic is like 26, maybe.
Yeah.
So Christopher, giving you a peek behind the curtain. I mean, there are obviously, I named two players. I knew you wanted to take Jokic, and so I wanted to have him. So I was
You're
like,
so kind. You're so kind, giving me
Yeah.
a proverbial fake second pick to pick Jokic. It is interesting. So I think I don't disagree on the ceiling potential that Doncic. I think he might have a higher ceiling than Jokic.
Yeah.
But he's at what could be his ceiling. You know what I mean? Like, and like it's not quite the same because he needs to like mature a little bit. He's still obviously super young. Like he's got plenty of time. He's got LeBron level like career ahead of him if he chooses to do that, given he started so young. But he does need to mature a little bit for him to like become otherworldly.
Okay, well, so you said he's at his ceiling, and I understand what you're saying. I think
I said he could be. There could be a false ceiling here, but he clearly has a higher ceiling than where he's at right now.
Okay, then yeah. So, but what I would say is if he fixes his shot selection issues, right? Like if that field goal percentage, if he becomes a 50-40-90 guy, right? Which I think is potentially in play for him. The free throws need work. I think that the threes and the I guess 2-point field goals, should be okay. I think if he fixes his shot selection issues, then I think his ceiling is higher than anybody else in the league.
I want to see him on like a better team. I wonder if that would help him or not, or if he like will ruin. I'd love to see him on like not a sort of misfit island toy team.
It would be a tragedy in NBA history if he does not ever get a better team around him or another, like a second star to play with him.
Yeah.
Porzingis does not count in case we're scoring at home.
Yeah. Like 4 years ago, maybe Porzingis counted, but like he definitely has not. Yes. He has regressed to the mean pretty strongly.
Yes. I think we are all in agreement. Yeah. We are at least both in agreement. Yeah. We would love to see Luka play with somebody better. And like, how would Luka play with like Bradley Beal on his team, for example, like somebody else who could, I don't know.
That's actually a very good compliment too. All right. Yeah. So I agree. Giannis too is like top 3, whatever other person you add between somebody else and Jokic or Luka and Giannis. I think that's a solid top 3.
Yes.
So who else is going in the first round? Who else you got? I feel like this is a good play between age and ceiling here.
So I think so. Yeah, if we're saying the top 3 are Jokic, Doncic, and Giannis, I think number 4 is Karl-Anthony Towns. The best essentially 3-point shooting center that we have ever had. So like Phil gives you a bunch of different, Phil, he's definitely a better fantasy player than real life player. And so like, that's the distinction that we have to make here. But, I would love to have, his output for the next 10 years.
Yeah. I think that's also a good pick. And one of those where like, even if you get 5 or 6, right? Like conceptually, like you kind of just, you'll take it however long that goes. I feel like like it's too good consistently.
Yes.
I have to I'm going to defend my own first round draft pick at this point.
Okay.
Somewhere in this middle range,
Okay.
I think Ayton deserves a selection purely because he is young and like clearly has lots of development to go. And I think like I love him on the Suns. Like he plays a role on the Suns,
Yeah.
but if he statistically will become a very better player on a team where he is the man. Like he's going to score a lot more and do a lot more things when if he is in a different system where he is not just doing good yeoman's work for the team. So I think long term his ceiling is very high from a statistical output perspective, but also is actually a very good player who is the youngest of the bigs department. So I think he's in there. I don't know what number, but I think he's in the first round.
Okay, so I do not. I respect your arguments. I respect you as a person.
But you're wrong.
Yeah. I understand, you are invested in Ayton, having selected him with a high draft pick. I don't dispute that he could be good. Other younger players have progressed quicker than him. Doesn't mean that he won't progress. But
who? I want to hear this. Hear this list. Who are you saying?
So I believe the Ayton draft was that also the Doncic draft and also the
Doncic
and Trey. Marvin Bagley has not panned out. I think I was just thinking of Doncic and Trey, and then I even like it was SGA.
One of those three has made the finals.
Yes, well, yeah, partially team dependent.
I mean, fair, but just saying, he was a non-trivial part of that team who made the finals.
Right. But if you're asking me like, would I rather have, Ayton or, Trey Young or Doncic, right?
But that's not what we've already said. We've already said Doncic. So like, okay, who is another big you would take over Ayton in this draft? Regardless, I'm just like truly like in terms of value for this discussion, who is the next big you're taking?
Non-Mo Bamba division. Okay.
Non-Mo Bamba, non-Ayton big.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm taking Joel Embiid. All right. I'm also taking AD. I take Embiid and AD over Ayton.
AD has got some limited tread left, so you'll take the.
But he's still young, or at least relatively.
Okay.
He's not 22. But yeah, I think I would take Ayton over. This can make some people Gobert, obviously, but I would take Ayton over Randall, who is counts as a center in our league.
Randall's old too. Yeah, that's a cold take.
Randall's not. No, he was in like the 2014 draft. I mean, I guess I
thought he was like almost like 30. I thought he was older when he came out too.
I'm looking him up real quick.
Okay. Yeah, I thought he was on the older end of the
spectrum. He was born he's born November 29th, 94. So he's like 27.
Well, shit, that's not that old at all. All right.
He's 26. 26 and he turns 27. So yeah, he's still young.
He just looks old.
Yeah, so like Ayton is in the second tier, like that's all. So like to me, he's like a late second round pick. Like so, we differ by a round and the most important round, but
a whole lot. Late second round in a keeper draft. That's actually brutal.
Christopher, this is somebody giving our listeners a peek behind the curtain. Somebody you mentioned off the air, before the podcast started. Sabonis is potentially somebody who could play his way, and also Bam. Are also somebody who could. Yeah. I think both of those guys could end up being more valuable fantasy contributors than Ayton. Maybe not, but I think if they're in the same ballpark.
Yeah, ballpark is fair. This will be a fun one. Legitimately, if the Suns run Ayton out of town, like where he ends up, and then like if he progresses in a different system or not, will be fun. Will be fun to watch. All your points are valid. I'll accept. Right. Even though it makes me feel terrible about my pick. I'll give you one more.
Okay, so
who else is going in the first round for you?
Okay, so we've just to recap real quickly. We've eliminated Jokic, Doncic, Giannis, who was for? Oh, and then Cat.
You've mentioned Embiid.
Embiid and Davis. I would think I would put up there. So now it's like, okay, I've gotten like at least the younger or the relatively younger guys, and except for maybe Trey Young. So like honestly, right now I'm kind of debating between Trey Young or somebody like Harden or Durant. And these are,
I think you take Harden before Durant from a expected mileage. I feel like Harden is going to mature into like a Jason Kidd-esque game and have a lot more years behind him than Durant will. I think Durant's almost done.
Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. So I agree with you. I think Harden will have the longer career remaining. It's just a question of like, who's next 5-year peak. And so you may think that Durant's 5-year peak is kind of done. But like, if I believe that they could both stay healthy for 5 more years, would I rather have Durant's peak or Harden's peak? And like, your Harden arguments, I hear them and I can hear the ones you're going to make. But I think I want to go Durant.
All right. That's fine.
Durant. Yeah.
All right. Last question.
Yes.
Who will it be and what round in this provisional keeper draft is the highest current rookie? So this their first season this season. Okay. Who's going highest and who's it going to be in this keeper draft?
So yeah, I think the 4 of the top 5, even the top 5, I mean Scotty Barnes maybe not. I think all have a case you could make. Obviously, I'm biased, but I don't think it'll be Suggs. We can get that out of the way. Cade hasn't played yet, so it's hard, but I think he still has to go first. Like he was the number 1 overall pick, and 4 games of data on Jalen Green and Mobley, even as promising or not as they have been, it doesn't. I don't think it doesn't mitigate that impact. Like going into the draft, everyone had the opportunity to kind of make that determination, and everybody decided on Cade. So I think that you still. Halfway through the season, we'll see how they played and whatnot. But I think you still go Cade, and I think you take. I think you take Cade with the first pick of the 3rd round.
Ooh, I love it. I love the speculative pick in the 3rd round. Love it.
Yeah. So let me. Okay. So what about you? What is your take?
I have no idea. Legitimately, I have no idea. Because I thought they're all trash. But Mobley. With the luxury of seeing some games,
sure.
Like that to me is like retrospect at this point. Like, but in our league with big man preference, probably he's up there. I do feel like some of all these rookies are good. I liked your initial point, so I would see them. I think going in those earlier rounds. I think 4 or 5. For 4th and 5th round, I would think all of those 4 main rookies would go in the keeper draft.
Because like at some point, if you're trying to find like one person to keep, right? Like instead of taking somebody who may be better, but who seems to have like topped out or whose potential for advancement, right, is not so great. Here, like all these guys, like the ceiling is unknown, right? And that's why.
Here's a better question though. Like if we only had like 1 or 2 keepers, which is probably what you would have, realistically, I mean, are you even keeping a rookie this season? Like who would you? It'd be tough, I think.
Yeah, like they would have to have like they'd have to have like like Shaq era, like 92 Shaq era, like rookie seasons or 2003 LeBron, right? And you're like, okay, like if that happens, then great. But yeah, it was more because like it's tough because you're like we're, like the draft was like okay, we're gonna like draft 1 keeper, but like you're like well. If for whatever reason, like, Durant has a season ending, he tears his Achilles again, and you're like, okay, I can't keep Durant, am I going to keep, like hypothetically, am I going to keep Bradley Beal or am I going to keep Cade Cunningham? Right. Like, let's make it that hypothetical. Maybe, if Cade shows promise, like, let's say 18, 6-5 and good shooting, you're like, which seems reasonable, and then, shows potential for growth. Maybe you're taking Cade, right? Even though you might get 5 more awesome years of Beal.
I like it.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Michael, for stepping in for the lovely Mr. Levy. We do wish him well, and we look forward to his return to the show and your eventual return later this season. Surely, Bomba-isms expected, and your report on the proper analysis for our position level grading. For who was the best position. So we have a lot to look forward to. You have a high expectation coming back later in the season, Michael.
And just like Karl Anthony Towns, I was very happy to be the 4th pick, your 4th choice. So
no better way to go out.
Yeah.
You have a good evening. Thank you.
You as well, my friend. And to our listeners, our loyal listeners.
All of them all around the world.